Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Yesterday, we discussed this case. It's basically what we're discussing today. And that is that a pregnant animal who you do shechita on, you don't have to perform shechita to the fetus because that's called a ben pekua. But what if the animal, the fetus, stuck its leg out for a moment and then brought it back in? So we saw a machlokes yesterday between Rav and Reb Yochanan. Rav says that part that came out, you can't eat. That was already born, that little part, and when you bring it back into the body, the shechita of the mother doesn't apply to that part. Reb Yochanan says no, there's no such thing. You could do shechita to the mother and you could even that part. So let's see how it looks like. This is Rav, and Rav says, Eiver atzmei aser. The piece that comes out is aser. In Eretz Yisrael, they say these words. Basically the same exact thing, just different words. Yesh leida levarim. When that limb goes out, it was born. You can't unborn something. If a child is born, you can't put it back in its mother's stomach and say, oh, it wasn't born. It was born. That's it. It's over. The leg came out, it was born. Another leg came out, it was born. The question is, why is it said in different words? It's the same exact thing. So the Gemara addresses that. In Eretz Yisrael, they say it's slightly different. The same idea, but different words. Rav Omar Yesh Leida Levar. Once the hand, the leg, both come out. Yesterday somebody came over to me in the shiur and said, it's only the hand because the leg makes it a treifa. Not true. It could be anything. Rav Omar Yesh Leida Levar. Rabbi Yochanan Omar Ein Leida Levar. Rabbi Yochanan says there's no such thing as one limb being born. You need a roiv, you need something substantial. But what's the difference between these two lashonos on the screen? They both say the same thing. The aver itself that went out is aser, or yesh leida levarim, it was born and therefore it's aser. They're both aser. Says the Gemara beautiful. In this case, like right over here, only part of the foot came out. Part of the hand came out, but the rest is still inside the mother. So the rest that's inside the mother, is it also aser according to Rav or not? If you say yesh leida levarim, the whole limb was born, so I don't care how much came out. Once part of it came out, a significant part, the rest is also aser. Your son yesterday said, Noam said, what? He says, so then it would be the opposite. And according to the other lashon, no, whatever comes out, comes out. Whatever's born, that's what's aser. According to the second lashon, that it's a leida, it's a birth, so it doesn't matter if some of it is left inside. Even the part that's left inside is still aser to eat, because the whole limb was born. But so your son said, so then there'll be another nafkamina. If only part of it came out, 10% of the leg came out, would be completely mutter to eat, according to the yesh leida, because it wasn't born. And he's right. We're trying to discuss it. Hiboilu. Here we go. Rabbi Isai. We're starting with the questions now. A lot of questions today, and they start getting more and more interesting. Hiboilu l'divrei ha'omer ein leida levarim. According to Rabbi Yochanan, says that there's no such thing as a limb being born. You need a roiv. If the fetus sticks out the hand and then pulls it back in, that's the right hand. And then he stuck out his left hand. And then he stuck out his right leg. And then he stuck out his left leg. Then he stuck out his spine, Rashi says. And finally, he did enough that total, the front and the back and the right and the left, they all equal to 60% of the whole fetus. Mao. At the end of the day, when you add up all the hands and feet that he stuck out, you have 60%. And only a small amount is left inside. And therefore, the entire thing is considered that was born. And the Mela, the shechita of the mother does not work on that, whatever's left over inside. According to Rabbi Yochanan, there's no leida to limbs. So every time he pulls it back in, it wasn't born. So the 10% that he they put out in the beginning doesn't combine with the 10%, the second 10%, and the third 10%. They don't combine because there was never a birth. Every time he stuck it out, he pulled it back in. There was never a birth. So how do you combine these totals? You can't. So then the Gemara says, so then let me continue my question. So I'll roll with you. Every time he pulls it back in, it cancels the birth. There's no birth at all, so therefore there's no roiv birth. But what if he chopped it off? Every time the front right came out, chop. Front left came out, chop. Back right came out, chop. So now together there's a pile over there of chopped limbs, and together there was a birth. Until there was 60% mouth. At the end of the day, you have 60% laying on the ground there. A birth needs to be a 60% birth in one shot, not piecemeal, chopped up meat. Tashma. So if we look at the Mishnah says like this. 4 lines down. If you take a piece of the fetus and you cut it while it's still in the mother's stomach, mutar b'achila. I'm reading the Mishnah on Daf Samach Ches Amud Aleph. It first gives us a halacha that if you cut, let's say, the leg of the animal, you stick a knife into the stomach, cut the leg off, and the leg remains inside, and then you shech the mother. Says the Mishnah, you're allowed to eat that leg, even though it wasn't attached to the fetus. Then the Mishnah finishes off, Zaklau. Here's the total rule. If it's part of the mother animal, like her kidney, a part of her kidney, and then you shech the mother, you're not allowed to eat that kidney. Why? Because the kidney, when you cut it, uzever menachai, doesn't come mutter. But the Mishnah continues, if it's part of the fetus, and you cut the leg of the fetus and remain inside, mutter, you're allowed to eat it. What did the Mishnah add in Zaklau? He said mefurish in the Mishnah, if you cut part of the animal while it's still inside the animal, you're allowed to eat it through the shechit of the mother. And then the Mishnah says Zaklau. Must be is coming to say a big chiddush. What's the big chiddush? Zaklau has the top line on Samach Tes Amud Aleph. V'shein gufa mutar. Shein gufa lasui mai. Why does the Mishnah repeat itself? Lav last week, I gavna. L'chayr is telling us this halacha that if you cut a bunch of limbs off and a little part of the animal remains, the fetus, some of it remains inside the mother's stomach, and then you shech the mother, you're allowed to eat that little part. That it's not considered a birth to the whole animal. Lo, it's not coming to say that chiddush, it's coming to say the chiddush that we saw yesterday, this chiddush. Last week, if it gave birth to a camel-looking animal that it's not mafresh parsa, doesn't have the split hooves. So if it remains in the stomach, you're allowed to eat it. If it came out, it's also to eat. If you have a kolot, meaning it's not a mafresh parsa, the son of a cow, you're not allowed to eat it. That's because it came out to the world. That's what the Mishnah is saying. Zaklau. I have a rule. If it remains inside the mother's stomach, even though it's not my first parasha, I'm allowed to eat it. Another interesting question. Reb Chananya. Reb said, this is the Beis HaMikdash. A very rudimentary picture from back in the day. Those red dots, that's where you shech the animals, that's the mechitza in the Beis HaMikdash. People could go into the Ezras Nashim on the left side, but the right side, the right square on the side, that's where all the shechita happens, that's where everything happens, that's where the mizbech is, you put it on top of the mizbech, etc. We know that when you have, there's 2 categories of animals, kachim, kalim. You have a chatos, the oila, kachim. The chatos, once you shech it, you can't come out of these red walls. So these red walls are a mechitza. And our whole sugi, we're talking about a mechitza, like Ari mentioned before, how do we know this whole idea of hand coming out, leg coming out? Because it says that the meat in the field is a treifa. Just say the meat that's treifa, you're not allowed to eat. Like why? What's basada? So he said basada means it's a place that doesn't have mechitzas. That once it goes out of the mechitza, no good. So the Gemara is asking, what if you have an animal inside the dotted line? in a way, those dotted lines are a mechitza for kachim. You can't go out of it. So, in essence, we have two mechitzas here. We have the mechitza of the mother, and we have the mechitza of the Beis Hamikdash. So perhaps if the animal stuck its hand out inside the dotted line, that creates a mechitza for the animal, and it doesn't make the leg aser. If the animal sticks its hand out of its mechitza, its mother's mechitza, it becomes aser, because it's not basada treifa, it's basada, it's no good. Over here it's not basada, it's within special halachic walls, the mechitzas of the Beis Hamikdash. And what's the Gemara going to say? But there's other animals that have a different mechitza. The entire Yerushalayim. Shlamim, you could take out to the entire Yerushalayim. So what are you going to tell me? That if it stuck its hand out in the entire Yerushalayim, it's okay? Makes no sense. So, a carbon stuck out its hand. Now, obviously, if you shech the mother animal with the baby inside, the baby's like the mother. You put the chatas on the mizbech, you could eat the baby, etc. What's the question? Since those dotted lines are a mechitza for kachim, so it's also mechitza for when a baby sticks his hand out. Perhaps it's not a mechitza for this. I heard a story. The mechitza suber imohi. Why? Because there's only one mechitza for a fetus. It's its mother. It doesn't care about the Beis Hamikdash. For the baby, it has the mechitza of its mother. It's not the mechitza of the Beis Hamikdash is not important to him. As for Abai, I understand. You're telling me the walls for a carbon. There's other karbanas, many karbanas on the kachim kalim side. You have the toida, the nazir, all these things, shlamim. That Yerushalayim is the mechitza. If you bring it into Yerushalayim, you're okay. Outside Yerushalayim, you bring it to Bet Shemesh, not good. And over there, you should ask the same question. What if the animal stuck its hand out in Yerushalayim? How come you never asked that question? Because when we look at the fetus, it's the mother who creates the mechitza, not Yerushalayim. If you think about it for a second, the uber, the fetus, has mechitzas from its mother. It is well protected. It has the food that it needs. It has air conditioning, heating. If the mother gets hurt, it's protected from all sides. It has everything. Boyilfa. It's getting better. Here we go. When you do shechita, there's two pipes. There's the trachea, the breathing pipe, looks literally like this. And then you have the esophagus. This is what the animal eats, it is more elasticy, it's more muscular. It doesn't have the bony structure that this has. Now, when you do shechita, you have to cut the majority of both of these. At least 51% of this and 51% of this. So now, I've been waiting a long time to use this. He shechted one siman, and then all of a sudden the hand of the animal came out, right over here. And then, in between the simanim, and then he shechted, this is bad. Then he shechted the second one. So you hear the shayla? Here's the shayla. Let me explain. When you shecht an animal, you accomplish two things. First of all, you're allowed to eat it after you do shechita. Second of all, a big halach that we learned throughout Chulin is a big chiddush for everybody, that it removes the tumah. If the animal will drop dead without shechita, then it would give off tumah. If you shechted, no tumah. Now, you started off great. Everything is going well. You cut one. You accomplished two things. You're in the middle of accomplishing two things. You're about to be able to eat it, and you're about to get rid of the tumah. Then all of a sudden, this fetus guy decides, he sticks out his feet. Oh, I just realized fetus and feet. He stuck out his hand. Yeah? Stuck out his hand in the middle. So now, you can't eat that hand. You can't eat it. So now the second siman accomplishes something different than the first siman. The second siman allows you only to eat the mother, the baby, but not that leg. The question is, can the second siman accomplish at least that leg that comes out will not give over tumah? And the answer is, says Rava, yes. Because the second siman accomplishes tremendous. It accomplishes you're allowed to eat the entire animal. You're allowed to eat the entire fetus. There's no stop, no break in the shechita. You continue going on. There's a beautiful shechita that you're able to eat the fetus. So at least it'll remove the tumah, says Rava. Mau. Does the shechita, when you continue shechting, siman number 2, usually the brown pipe, the esophagus is number 2, does it remove the tumah of the leg? Because the leg was never shechted. And when you have an unshechted leg, you have an unshechted animal, it gives off tumah. So this leg gives tumah. We actually had it, the top words on the Samach and Beis, that the leg is so tameh that it gives tumah to the rest of the animal. But Lamaisi gave a shechita. He did a shechita here, so maybe it removes the tumah. Omer Rava, kal v'chomer. No, it removes the tumah. Why? The second siman is good. It's a good shechita, and it allows you to eat even the fetus, the mother for sure, even the fetus. So certainly should have enough power to get rid of the nevela. Something to think about. Okay. Boy, Reb Yirmiyah. This is fascinating, this question. Right over here. Here. Oh. What happened? You have a fetus, you have an unborn animal that stuck its hand out. We're saying, according to Rav, well, even according to everybody, if it didn't bring the hand back in, that leg that it stuck out, you're never allowed to eat. So you have a walking animal. That was the question I asked in the beginning of the shiur yesterday. You have a walking animal running around the barn. You're allowed to eat the entire thing minus its front leg. Why? Because that front leg it stuck it out before the shechita of its mother. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't shecht the fetus. It's unshechtable. It was already shechted halachically. It's walking around. You can't shecht it. And it never got a heter for its front leg. Listen to this. This Ben Pekua guy, he grows up, and b'shal taiva u'mutzlachas, he gets married. And they have a baby. What about the front leg of the baby? Wow, it's route. Does the front leg of the baby have the same halacha like his father? So we have to understand, who did he get married to? Did he get married to like a miyuchas like a cow? Or another weirdo like him, another bas pekua? That's the shayla. Ma'u lachos l'zarei. In 3 words, ma'u lachos l'zarei. You have to be concerned that the offspring of this father who has a bad leg, a bummed leg that you can't eat, what about his offspring? Perhaps the entire offspring is also. That's part of the shayla. Not just this leg. Maybe part of the shayla is the entire thing. Why? Because the father has 10% of him that you can't eat. Now, when he has offspring, that 10% spreads to the entire body of the baby. The entire 100% is infected with this non-good leg that he has. If he got married to a regular female cow, nothing to do with a bas pekua. So why are you telling me that he has a bad leg? His whole body is bad. His offspring, when he gets married, his children are goners. The opposite of the guy from Australia. We had the guy from Australia yesterday. In Australia, they want to take this ben pekua, make a chasana with a bas pekua, and then they have offspring b'nei bekuas, and you never need to do shechita. But if one of them is a ben pekua, and the other one is a regular animal, that messes everything up. Why? Because the father is not shechtable. You can't shecht the father. Why can't you shecht the father? Because he's a ben pekua. There's nothing to shecht. You can just eat him. Start eating right now. Wait until he drops dead and start eating. The mother needs to be shechted. So what do you do with the offspring? They're nishtahi nishtahir. You can't shecht them, and you could shecht them. You have to shecht them, you can't shecht them. So Gemara, ma'ir yahidis beyisu yoytza afidu ben pekua dalman nami. The Omer Rav Misharshia. Rav Misharshia says, according to him, ben pekua haba al behema ma'al yisa havlad ein lo yitakana, he says. There's nothing you can do about it. Why? So explains Rashi, because it's as if you didn't shecht roiv simanim. Why? Because one of the simanim, every siman, you take a look at every siman, here's a siman, and this is a siman. This siman, 50% is already shechted from the father. So now you have to shecht another 50%. Maybe you shechted this 50% of the father. You don't know what you shechted. It's already shechted. You're never shechting roiv. You could shecht, but you're not shechting roiv. You have to shecht roiv. It's as if half of his esophagus and half of his trachea are missing. They're already shechted. They're gone. That's what he holds. Listen to this. They could say, a ben pakua married a bas pakua. My. So the question is, Aver moiled Aver? Do we say that the father's leg goes into the baby's leg, and that leg is also? So what do? So just ignore that front hand, cut it off, and eat the rest of the animal. Or no. There's 10% of the father that you can't eat. It's not edible. So when he has offspring, that 10% runs through the entire body. There's a little bit of it everywhere. And then he answered the question himself. Of course, the father's zera goes everywhere, to all legs, to all steaks, everywhere. There's a isser everywhere. And I'll prove it to you. Dimkain, suma, yolet suma. Does it make sense that an animal that's blind, it's going to have an offspring that's blind? In other words, its deficiency is going to go exactly to the baby? No. Vikitea, yolet kitea, and a one that has chopped off legs, it's going to give birth to a chopped off leg? Does it make sense that just because the father doesn't have legs, the son is going to be born without legs? Certainly, his deficiency spreads to the whole body. So this is the question. Every time you have offspring, a cow has offspring, in creating the baby, there's a little bit of chaylev and a little bit of dam, a little bit of isser. Every animal has chaylev and dam in it, so it's giving over chaylev and dam to create the baby, the offspring. But you're allowed to eat it. So over here, yes, there's a little bit of a leg that's also to eat, and that he's creating the offspring with the bad leg. But it doesn't matter, you're allowed to eat it. Maybe we ignore two. This is mamish super interesting to me. Two isurim you can ignore, chaylev and dam. Tlasa, but once you add a third one to the mix, because now we have also treifa involved, lo yamrina. That you don't do. Maybe you can say such a thing. Says Gemara, wait a minute. There's no such thing, a 3 isurim. Because regardless how you go, you're never going to get to 3. Either a mayor, we're going to see later on, it's a chaylev and dam. Yeah, I agree that every animal, when they're created it with a little bit of ister fat and a little bit of blood, fine. It's the yotzaleka. Because according to a mayor, once animal is viable in the 9th month, let's say it goes through a full pregnancy, there's no ben pekua. You're not allowed to eat it without shchita. So this whole halacha, hand out, hand in, is not important. Why? Because even if it sticks the hand out, it doesn't become aser. Because anyway, you have to shech the entire animal. It's not a ben pekua. Either Rabbi Yehuda, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, he does hold of a ben pekua. Isra chaylev dam leka. There's no chaylev dam. Why? It's not giranasha. Here, moiridik. When you eat a ben pekua, is there a problem with giranasha or not? Giranasha noeg b'shlil b'chel b'yaser. Giranasha is a problem. We're noeg and the chaylev is aser. Anyway, the chaylev is aser. Divrei Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, ain't noeg b'shlil b'chel b'muter. There's no problem of chaylev, and maybe you don't have 3, and according to everybody, you don't have 3 isurim. So that idea that you want to say that there's a difference between 2 isurim and 3 isurim doesn't exist. Ella chol mikoyach le'aminon. We don't care about what the father, the isurim that the father had. Vishari, the Gemara said vishari. But in fact, the question is a little different. Ma'u legmoya es chalavon. Can you drink from the milk of a bas pekua? You have a bas pekua and she has milk. We never look at milk as Ever Menachai, although it's slightly Ever Menachai. It's mutter. Hainami loishna. Oidilma hasam isleta kantali yisuri b'shchita. So you're saying, look, this is also, you're gonna scratch your head here. The reason why perhaps you're allowed to drink milk, even though it's Ever Menachai, is because eventually you could shecht this animal, it will be shechted, you could shecht it, so it kind of lightens the isser of the Ever Menachai of the milk, and that's why you're allowed to drink it. But this animal who's a ben pekua, bas pekua, you can never do shchita to it. There's no way out of it. Teiku. If he took a piece of the fetus and left it inside the fetus, he took a knife, cut its leg off while it's in utero. Today we know how to do it. There's surgeries like that, etc. How do you know that it's also? Listen to this. How do you know the whole idea of a ben pekua that you're allowed to eat? That you're allowed to eat the leg that's inside. It says v'chol behema mafreses parsa behema ba behema l'rabis of vlad. Look at this beautiful chart. Kobe did this. V'chol behema mafreses. He took this chart v'chol behema and ba behema and he did this. You read it like this: v'chol behema ba behema. Every animal that's in an animal. You're allowed to eat animals within animals. Ask the Gemara, you're miru boy. Oh, if you tell me that every animal that's inside another animal you're allowed to eat, so we have something called tmura. Tmura is the ister. If you have a little carbon and you want to trade it up to a bigger carbon, and you say this should be instead of this, it's 100% awesome. Is to the right. And the second one becomes exactly like the first one. It works, but what you did is awesome. Now, the question is, it says that you cannot do this idea. Tmura doesn't work on a fetus, on a baby inside a stomach. But why? It's considered a behema. But Tmura says behema, and it's a behema. So we're just going to say a bunch of words here. Don't get confused. The point is, the only way to do tmur is on a whole animal. One whole animal, like in this picture, one whole animal to another animal. But parts of an animal, the fetus of an animal, on both directions, whether you're using the chulin that's not kaddish yet, you're saying that its fetus or its leg, that doesn't work, or the one on the left, the one on the right, both. That's all the Gemara is saying now. Now why it says in Mishnah Imamir and Lo Yivarim. So the first one is always the chulin part, the one on the right. The animal's legs, bu'ubarim, and the uber of kachim. V'lo yubarim be'yivarim. And not chulin, that's a fetus, to the limbs of kachim. It has to be full animals. You can't exchange limbs for limbs or limbs for a fetus. Why? Because it's a uber. It's not a full animal. Take the limbs and the ubar in a whole animal of kachim. The bottom line is, it doesn't work, this tmura thing doesn't work to a fetus. Why not? It's a behema. Oh, you're right, so let's do something else. It says in the pasuk, v'chol behema. So it's extra, it comes to include even the fetus you're allowed to eat. How come the own mother animal, when you cut part of her kidney, you cut the spleen, you're not allowed to eat it after the shchita, it's considered a mechai. Why? B'chol behema. If you do it to the fetus, it's okay. If you do its own, the mother's kidney, you cut it inside her body and leave it in there, the shchita of the mother doesn't help to her own kidney. That when she is whole, then you're allowed to eat everything that's inside of her. But once it's missing, then not. You shecht a cow, and all of a sudden it comes out that we had it in Nida also, we'll have it soon. A woman gives birth to funny shaped things, like a shoe, one of them is a bird. The cow gave birth to something that looks like a pigeon. If you find some sort of bird-looking type of thing, also about feeling allowed to eat it. Answer the Gemara, being a process veleko. The bird doesn't have split hooves, and you need split hooves. The camel, the famous camel guy. Yeah, I just did. I said the video is sponsored by... How come the camel that has these split hooves is mutter? We said if it's in the mother's stomach, you're allowed to eat it. According to you, it has to have process. It has to have split hooves. Process. The second word on the amud. It has to have a parsa, and this pigeon doesn't have a parsa. It has the pigeon feet. No, let's go back to how Kobe did the pasuk over there. you're allowed to eat an animal that's inside the animal. You had a question. If so, how come you can't do tmura with a fetus, with a baby in the stomach? It's Reb Shimon the makish tmura lemeiser. What's meiser, boy say? I know we don't have time. We got to see this though. For the new people, a bunch of new people that didn't see this. Meiser is when you have a bunch of animals. You put them, a bunch of new babies, you put them, you let them go out of the pen, and you count 10. The 10th one, you give it a red dot. That 10th one every 10, bring to your Yerushalayim. I can speed it up, yeah? Wow, it is late. And then when he gets all the way to number 10, what does he do? Rabbi said, remember? You give him a red dot, and that becomes Meiser. Oh, this part, Givaldi. Okay, so there's a connection between Tmura and Meiser. What's the connection, everybody? I'm going to show you something you might not have noticed when you're learning this, because the pasuk says Lam Beis B'chol Ma'asar, and then it says in pasuk Lam Gimel U'Tmura. So you're talking about Tmura. So Meiser and Tmura are connected. Ma Meiser and Enoig Be'Varim B'Ubarim. If you look at the purple in pasuk Lam Beis, it says Kol Asher Ya'avor Tachas HaShavet. Anyone that walks through that gate over there gets the thing, but he has to walk. It can't be a limb. It can't be a fetus. Okay, so I'm learning from Meiser to Tmura. That's why. Nothing to do with that. You're right. Our pasuk tells us, anything inside the animal you're allowed to eat. It's considered an animal. But there's a special pasuk that we learn from Meiser that you can't, for Tmura, you can't use something that's aver or a fetus. And how do you know that this goes according to Reb Shimon? That what? That you can't do tmura with the uber that goes according to Reb Shimon. This nan. Beautiful. Check this out. This is machlokes. Either we go like Reb Shimon and Reb Yossi on the left, or like Reb Meir on the right. A guy says this leg of this animal, just the leg. The entire thing becomes oila. And then you say, according to Meir, only the foot becomes oila. Machlokes. Now, take that idea and use it over here also. It's not over here. So by tmura, when you say a little part of it becomes tmura, the leg, then the whole thing becomes tmura. Says Gemara, who's Reb Eli talking about? 2. If he's talking to Reb Meir and Yehuda, they don't even hold to that. They don't hold that if you say 1 foot, it spreads to the whole animal. I would think that if you make one part of the animal, the foot, you make it oila, the whole animal should become oila. No, not the whole thing becomes kodesh. And you'd say, oh, so it's not kadosh, it's only the legs, so just let it go loose. It should be regular chulin. No. Remains kadosh. So what do you do? When you have an oila, the 90% is not an oila, just its front leg is oila. What do you do with it? Okay, so what do you do? Sell it to somebody else that needs an oila. He'll pay for it. And now the entire thing becomes an oila, minus its front leg that was already an oila, which the Gemara discusses somewhere else. So then he didn't bring a whole oila. He brought a 95% oila. The other leg is somebody else's oila. Okay. Akopanim, v'domei chulin, and the money that you pay for it goes out to chulin. Chutz mitmei evishaba. But besides the 10% of the front leg, so they don't hold that if a person does one leg, it spreads to the rest of the animal. The leg remains kaddish, but not the rest of the animal. And this is Reb Shimon. You asked me, how do I know it's Reb Shimon? Here it is. Reb Shimon Oimrim, Reb Yossi, Reb Shimon Oimrim, how do you know that no, it spreads to the entire thing? So too by Tmura, you want to say it spreads to the entire animal. Now Gemara says, we just said that if it goes to 1 foot, it doesn't spread to the rest of the animal. Here's the source of Reb Shimon. Says Gemara, Rabbi Yossi himself, I wasn't talking about Reb Shimon. He was saying, I myself hold like this. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shiur today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.